Okay. I'm here with, I'm here with Kevin Lyman. He's tired.
Yes, hi you guys. How are you? Yeah.
He's here with Free Press, and Kevin and I have known each other for some years. He's one of my main mentors, and I'm very blessed to have him and his family in my life. And Kevin, there is such a powerful punk undercurrent of everything right now. All the lessons that came from the 70s and that were fought through the 80s and the greed is good 80s, it's all coming back now. And how are you seeing things being kind of the Pied Piper of punk?
Well, I think we had a phase where a lot of bands just kind of that social media phase of young bands. They were scared to say anything or stand for anything because they were only felt they were as good as their last tweet or the last response to something they did. So they just didn't stand for anything. And I think we're having bands now stepping out of the shadows, and it's not so much. It doesn't have to be political, but it could be for animal rescue. It could be for blood drives. It could be for local environmental issues that we need to get back to that. And I think we're starting to see bands willing to step out of that safety of anonymity, or anatomity.
Right. We know what the incognonymous.
Oh God, my words! I'm making up words right now. But they don't have to be anonymous.
That's actually a Jerry Chaptel word.
Of their personal beliefs.
Okay,
They're
great.
willing to step out now.
Well, I think it's very important because there are many people who've been sticking their necks out and we're alone, and the more we are together, the more superhero capes we all share. And so how does Warped Tour fit into this real renaissance of, I think, the meaning and the depth and the DIY spirit and the fuck the world, question authority spirit?
Well, there's some really great bands going out this summer, and I went at this summer. It's more. We look at Warped Tour as a musical thing that inspires philanthropy and education. So if you're having fun, then your mind's open to do other things.
Right.
If you go to a political rally, sometimes kids, it turns them off if you beat them over the head with it.
Sure.
But sometimes it's a subtle way of having fun. So I've always felt that when you go have fun, your mind gets open. So that's why we can work with over 100 nonprofits throughout the summer, and kids will wander over, break and get involved in their communities.
Yeah.
Whether it's head count with registering for voters last year, to keep abreast, to write love on their arms, to voice for the innocent. But most of these groups are able to, like 90% of people are just coming to run around in the sun and get a sunburn, but 10% of the people overachieve in any classroom. And that 10% are going to get involved in their local communities and do things through the can drives, the blood drives. And now, of course, it shifts with the issues at hand.
Yeah.
And I definitely right now there's some issues of politics.
Sure.
And I don't think people have been so involved in politics for so long that they're feeling their way through it right now. How am I going to be active? How am I going to preserve my future? Because I'm telling all the kids, I've had a great run. If it ends tomorrow, I've had a great run. I've done more in my life than I could have ever imagined. But it's your futures are being affected right now. The way you're going to live your life much longer than I will be around is being affected every day. So you need to have a voice if you don't agree with this.
Hell yeah. And as somebody who really has always been a big proponent of women have run the Warped Tour historically. You have a house full of strong women, your wife, your daughters, they're incredible people. What would you like people to know about the Warped Tour and where you stand as far as human rights, women's rights, all rights?
Well, very much. Sometimes I've been attacked online, and I think the funniest thing was when people say I'm a misogynist or anti-women.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's. Of anything, you can call me other things. I'm probably closer to that than that because
I call you a hippie sometimes.
Yeah, but it's definitely turned into a. I think I'm really excited about a band called War on Women.
Ooh.
I've gotten to know Shauna, who's the singer of that band, a little bit through the phone, and she's young. She's very passionate about women's rights. And when we first got on the phone, I had to kind of explain my history, going back to the early 80s and 80s with Golden Voice in Los Angeles, where we were throwing benefit shows. Bands used to play benefit shows. That's the interesting thing now. Bands don't really play benefit shows.
Right, they're trying to benefit themselves.
Well, they have
quite
to benefit
often,
through,
yeah.
so it's a toss-up.
Sure. And they got to eat too, but it's like,
Understanding why they don't play benefit shows is important because that's where they make their money touring. So if you play a show, how are bands going to do things in other ways than maybe that traditional benefit show that we did so many. There was benefit
Right.
shows. I think we were doing them every 3 weeks.
Wow.
There was Rock the Vote, Rock for
Right.
Choice. We were getting Fishbone out of jail cards when they went
Yeah.
and kidnapped their guitar player, and
Right.
every week we were doing something for a benefit show. But there's going to be ways to get involved. So we kind of start working together, and she's going to do a lot of things. She believes in safety for females. And
Hells yeah.
She's going to run workshops and
Good.
and be out there meeting kids and talking to them. I think it's pretty awesome.
I think it's pretty awesome too, Kevin Lyman. So I am a nerd who, with military precision, did not miss a single band at It's Not Dead 1. And why is everyone so excited about It's Not Dead 2?
Well, I think it was one of those things where I needed to do that show for my soul. The music I'm booking a lot of times on my festival isn't necessarily what I listen to every day and things. And I was kind of going through this point that, maybe it was my midlife crisis show. I had to go back to where I was. I wanted to get everyone together, and I also wanted to show how important punk rock is, because I think everyone's like, oh, punk rock's dead, or who's been, and I wanted to show that no, there's this undertone, especially here in Southern California, that remembers us. So it was fun. You put it together on a Saturday. Some people said, why don't you do it 2 days? I go, because these people are going to be too tired after one day. Why would you do that? Let's give them one day, let them go home, so get ready for work on Monday morning, and then letting kids in under 10, opening it up in some ways to 3 generations.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had 50-year-old punkers, 50 and 60-year-old punkers,
yeah.
and they were there with their 30-year-old kids
Right.
who had their 6-year-old children with them. And it was fun for me to walk around and see 3 generations of punks together. And that 50-year-old's not going to go to 10 shows to see those bands. They're just
Right.
not, they don't go to shows as often. But they were able to bring their kids and say, this is what I listened to when I was your age. And this
Right.
is the shows we went to. And put it all in one place. That energy just didn't let up. But I didn't want to do it every year. Too much pressure to do stuff every year.
Right.
Warped Tour is a lot of pressure. I book that every year, and Warped Tour has its place every year. But It's Not Dead. I said, we can take a year off, or so I can do it every few years. And when
You can
Rancid,
do whatever you want, Kevin Lyman.
so when Rancid kind of reached out, and then with this Dropkick package, said we'd love to end it at It's Not Dead.
Sure.
It was a great reason to do it. And then adding that 4th stage this year, which will be a lot of fun. Where
Oh,
we're,
God.
bands there was a lot of bands in LA, like Love Canal and the Grimm and these
Yeah.
kind of bands that maybe not be able to get on that show just because of numbers, but by putting that show there, they're going to get to come and play for their kids.
Right.
And I know so many people in those bands that are excited that they
I
get
don't
to
know
go
how
out
I'm
there
going to run
rocking.
between 4 stages.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
gonna
I
be 4
figured out how to
stages.
do 3, but 4 is going to be pretty tough. Well, I'm excited
And
about
Lisa
the challenge.
Johnson's, at first I think she had to
My
convince
girl.
people to come to the tent and be part of it. They didn't understand what we were trying to do, and I know that her list is already overflowing. So there's going to
Good.
be a lot of cool stuff there. Jim Lindbergh's going to do another book signing of
Good.
his book down there.
Good.
A lot of people are reaching out and going, "Hey, I want to be part of that."
I love Lisa Johnson so much. That Warped Tour book is so beautiful. I posted the intro today. I stumbled upon it and looking at it. It's like seeing a bunch of old friends. And Kevin Lyman, right now, because of so many people I know involved in the resistance, punk rock is in our blood. And what has the Warped Tour done, really, at the end of the day, and all the years you've been doing it, to basically foster, freedom?
Well, I think it's fostered the community. I think there's a lot. Kids are very, very passionate about this show, and they let me know every time I do something they don't like or something they're but evolve. But I think it's nice that when I go out into the community now, and I'll be walking down, when I speak at a corporate event, and everyone's in business suits, and there'll be like 4 or 5 people that come up to me, about maybe 10% of the audience, and say, Warped Tour was my first show. My mom, and they remember it like yesterday. My mom brought me to the show. They dropped us off. They gave us $20 and a sandwich and said, here's a hat, and which we threw in the bushes because we're not wearing hats, because we had just dyed our hair. And of course, in our backpacks, we had our punk rock shirt. And,
Sure.
And I think that mentality's gone back out into the world in some places. And I see people doing good in the world because of what the community they found in that parking lot.
I mean, I've been planning my Warped Tour outfit, for 2 decades. It's just so
Right.
silly. Kevin, at the end of all this chicanery, how would you like to be remembered?
That I made it through this business with the majority of my integrity intact, and I think that's all you can hope for. It's a tough business. You can easily be compromised or compromise yourself. I'm not perfect, but I realize that not everyone's going to like Kevin Lyman, but I think the majority of the people in this that you come across kind of respect me for what I've done. They might not get how I did it or what I do or why I do it, but I think that's how it'll all end.
That's beautiful. And my friend Isaac Cordal, who's an artist, says there's two types of people, good and bad. You're clearly one of the good guys.
Oh,
So
thank you.
you're one of the good guys, Lyman. All right.
Thank
Woo!
you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
Woo, woo, woo. That was pretty hot, right? Yeah.